Welcome everyone, it's Grandma Mo. Just finished watching the Vanderbilt Commodores take on the Texas Longhorns. We had the number 4 team versus number 5. And you know what? I've watched quite a few Texas games. I've only seen 2 Vanderbilts. This will be my third. And Vanderbilt has Michaela Blakes, who everybody's raving about, and rightfully so. But Texas's defense, I'm let's see, Rory Harmon only played 18 minutes. I'm not sure whether she got hurt. They didn't say anything about it on the broadcast, but she has a lot to do with their tenaciousness of their defense. And with her not there, Texas's defense just did not look the same. That full court press that they usually put on that makes people and makes teams not score very much. I mean, Vanderbilt got the win 86-70, and they were up by over 20 for most of the game. Texas made it closer towards in the beginning of the fourth quarter. They caught it, they got it down to I think they got it to 11, but they didn't get any closer than 11. And then Vanderbilt pulled it out in the end. And they just couldn't get it any closer. But Texas missed a lot of shots. I'm looking at shooting percentage. Vanderbilt shot 50% from the floor, almost 51. Texas only shot 38%. They shot 20% from 3. They missed so many shots in the paint. I don't even know. They had so many opportunities to score in the paint and just couldn't get the ball to go in the hoop. I mean, Booker missed a lot of shots. Let me see here. What Cunningham did. Who was the other one? Sidbury missed a bunch of them. Oldacre missed some. They just, they were right there in the paint and just couldn't get the ball to go in the hoop. They had plenty of opportunities, but and Vanderbilt was just making their shots. And Michaela Blake's, it's funny that she scores 34 points because you're watching her, and you see her scoring, but it doesn't seem like it's that much. And then, it's just like all of a sudden they announce she has, 30 points in the fourth quarter, and it's like, I noticed that the last time. But her and Aubrey Galvin, very nice point guard. She's really good, and she's a freshman. I guess Blake's is a sophomore. Very good backcourt tandem for the, next couple of years. They're, if they stay in Vanderbilt, I don't see why they would leave. They're building a really good thing there, and they have Shea Ralph. And Shea Ralph, if you know anything about Shea Ralph, she was a former UConn player when they started winning championships. She ended up getting hurt. And the other, really key, not key thing, but she's married to Tom Garrick. You youngins probably won't know who Tom Garrick is, but Tom Garrick went to my alma mater, the University of Rhode Island. And he was there. He must be 4 years younger than I am, because he was part of the, if you want to look it up, you can Google it. The University of Rhode Island were the Cinderella team in 1988 because Tom Garrick's dad was blind, and they made it was a big thing in the NCAA tournament that year. And, they made it to I think they made it to the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8. And that was, that was unique for that school. They had, back in the 70s, Sly Williams was there, and when I was there in the early 80s, Rhode Island had a pretty decent team. They weren't, I think they made it to the NCAA tournament one of the 4 years. But anyway, I found it really interesting that he's an assistant coach there, and he's married to Shea Ralph. So anyway, but back to the game. Vanderbilt just outshot them and just made, that was the majority of the game. Texas just couldn't make their shots. Rebounds were even, assists were fairly even. Texas got more steals. There was a point in time in the first half where that press was working, and that's where they got a number of those steals. So, which of course is reflected in turnovers. Texas only had 12 turnovers. Vanderbilt have 17, but a lot of that was in the first half. Points in the paint, 32-36. Texas had more, but oh my God, if they made half of those shots they put up in the paint, that number would have been way higher, and Texas probably would have won. But it just wasn't the case. So now you have, I'm sure they're going to flip spots with Vanderbilt getting this win. They're probably going to move up to number 4, and Texas will drop to number 5 now that they are 23-3, and Vanderbilt is 24-2. You know, I missed the Vanderbilt South Carolina game, and I was, how the hell did South Carolina beat them by 30? But it's almost the same scenario. South Carolina killed them in the paint, and they shot 60% from the floor and 3. South Carolina did. That's how they beat them by 30. So, everybody can have a bad shooting night. Texas just didn't have it tonight, and they lost. And it was, in Vanderbilt's gym. So they outscored them 27-15 in the first, 20-15 in the second, 23-22 in the third, and then Texas finally outscored them 18-16 in the fourth. But that gave them the 86-70 win and a, very cool game. Vanderbilt, 34 points for Blake's. Galvin had 18. She had 8 rebounds and 5 assists. I'm surprised she only had 5 assists. She was dishing out some really nice cuts to the basket. Wenentanda, who apparently played with Booker, they were mentioning that on the broadcast. She had 11 points. She had a good game. 6 rebounds for her. And then Sacha Washington, nice game from her. 10 points, 9 rebounds, almost a double-double. Passat had 9. Mitchell came in late in the fourth and had a couple of key plays there. Ended up with 2 points, and then McRott, she ended up with 2 points, and that was all the scoring for Vanderbilt. Texas, Booker had 20, but I don't have her individual shooting percentages, but I'll bet her shooting percentage was just poor. She missed a lot of shots. Let's see. Cunningham, she ended up fouling out in the third quarter. 14 points for her. Jordan Lee had 11. Rory Harmon, like I said, she only played 18 minutes. She had 5 points. Sidbury, 2 points for her. Oldacre had 4. Crump had 7. Preston had 5. And then Ashton Judd had 2. So Texas played a lot of players, but just didn't, lit on that hoop for them. So anyway, I'm sure they'll bounce back from this, and let's see who we got coming up here. Texas is playing Tennessee next on Sunday. Then they've got Arkansas. What is that? Mississippi State? Yeah, Mississippi State. Let's see here. Then they got Georgia and Alabama, and then. Let's see here. Vanderbilt has, what's their remaining schedule look like? They got Georgia, then Kentucky. That's going to be a tough one. They just finished playing Kentucky a few days ago, and last week on the 5th, and only beat them by 1. Then they've got Alabama, Tennessee, and they finished with Tennessee. So they have 3 of their 4 last games are against ranked teams. So we'll see, we'll see how Vanderbilt does. Anyway, very good game to watch. Exciting. Vanderbilt just took it to them, and Texas just, bad shooting. Okay. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.